So we're told in Scripture there's going to be a massive earthquake in Jerusalem at the end times. And this is evidence here that massive earthquakes have been here before. They've split the bedrock.
As you can see, I'm here on the Mount of Olives, and I'm looking for cracks that you can see actually here in the flooring. If you look at the road over here, you can see that there's cracks that are starting to crack on the road. There's some large potholes that have been started to form over here.
Jerusalem, the eternal city. The golden sun dips low, painting the ancient walls in a warm glow. From the bustling streets below, the Mount of Olives rises in quiet majesty, crowned with olive trees and blanketed with white tombs. For thousands of years, it has stood silent, watching kingdoms rise and fall, armies march and retreat, and generations come and go. But now, something is happening. Something that has rabbis, archaeologists, and even hardened scientists exchanging uneasy glances. Across its sacred slopes, fresh cracks have appeared. Not old scars from earthquakes long past, but new fractures cutting across the ground. Stone slabs have shifted. Gaps have opened where none existed before. People who walk there today can see them with their own eyes. And for those who know the ancient prophecy, the sight is enough to send a shiver down the spine. Before we dive into the prophecy, the history, and why experts are suddenly on edge, take a second to subscribe to our channel. This is where ancient scripture meets modern evidence, where you see for yourself how the Bible is coming alive in real time. Over 2,500 years ago, the prophet Zechariah wrote these precise words. On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, forming a great valley, with half of the mountain moving north and half moving south. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 4. This is not poetry. It is a direct geographical prediction naming the exact mountain, the exact direction of the split, and the event that triggers it, the coming of the Messiah. For centuries, this prophecy has been read in synagogues and churches. But today, with new geological cracks appearing and the earth shifting underfoot, it's beginning to feel less like ancient scripture and more like a news headline waiting to happen. The Mount of Olives is not just a hill. It is one of the most sacred places in the world, revered in both Jewish and Christian tradition. For the Jewish people, it is a burial place of hope. For over 3,000 years, kings, prophets, rabbis, and ordinary believers have been laid to rest here, their tombs facing the Temple Mount, ready for the day of resurrection. Over 150,000 graves now cover its slopes like a white stone ocean. Jewish tradition teaches that when the Messiah comes, the resurrection will begin right here. For Christians, the Mount of Olives holds some of the most powerful moments of Jesus' life. The place where he taught his disciples about the end times, where he prayed in agony before his crucifixion, and where he ascended into heaven. Acts chapter 1 verse 11 records the promise of the angels. This same Jesus, who has been taken from you into heaven, will come back in the same way. You have seen him go into heaven. Where did he leave from? The Mount of Olives. And Zechariah says he will return there. Directly opposite the mount is the Eastern Gate, also called the Golden Gate. This is the only gate in Jerusalem's old city walls that leads directly to the Temple Mount. It has been sealed shut for nearly 500 years. Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent ordered it closed in the 1500s, possibly to prevent the Jewish Messiah from entering. He even built a Muslim cemetery in front of it, thinking it would keep a priestly Messiah from passing through. But prophecy says otherwise. Ezekiel chapter 44 verse 2 declares that the gate will remain shut until the prince comes to enter by it. Zechariah's vision describes a massive valley opening from the Mount of Olives directly toward the city. When that day comes, the sealed gate will no longer be a barrier. Beneath all the spiritual significance lies a scientific reality. The Mount of Olives sits directly on top of a major fault line that runs from the Jordan Rift Valley under Jerusalem. In recent months, reports from geologists and surveyors in Israel have confirmed visible new fissures on the mount. These aren't remnants of the 1927 quake that rocked Jerusalem. These are fresh cracks, widening, shifting, and causing quiet alarm among experts. One Israeli geologist was quoted as saying, "The mountain is moving in ways we haven't seen before. The shifts are subtle, but they are real." These developments have not gone unnoticed. Some rabbis in Jerusalem are warning their congregations that the signs of the Messiah's arrival are intensifying. Archaeologists who have worked on the mount for years are privately admitting that the timing of these geological movements is unsettling. A senior rabbinical scholar was reported to have said in a closed meeting, "The cracks are not just in the stones. They are in the timeline of history itself. We are getting close." Even some secular archaeologists are expressing unease. Dr. Gabriel Barkay, a renowned expert on Jerusalem's history, has not directly claimed a prophetic link, but has acknowledged that the mount's instability is deeply tied to the city's destiny. Throughout the Bible, earthquakes mark moments of divine power. When God descended on Mount Sinai, the mountain shook violently. When Jesus died on the cross, Matthew chapter 27 verse 51 says the earth shook, the rocks split, and tombs opened. If the Bible is accurate, the day Jesus returns will be marked by another quake, one so powerful it will split the Mount of Olives in two, open the eastern gate, and change the geography of Jerusalem forever. In the 1970s, when developers tried to build a hotel on the mount, geological surveys forced them to stop. The rock beneath was cracked and unstable. Even then, the warning signs were there. Now, decades later, the cracks are wider, more visible, and far more concerning. The mountain is not just a witness to prophecy, it is preparing for it. The prophecy is clear. The fault line is real. The cracks are here. And those who study the mount, from rabbis to archaeologists, are beginning to whisper the same question. Could we be living in the generation that will see the mountain split? When that day comes, the valley will open, the king will return, and the world will never be the same again. No one knows the day or the hour, but the evidence is stacking up. The prophecies stand. The fault line waits. The mountain is ready. And somewhere beyond the horizon of time, the king is coming. When that day comes, the mount will split. The valley will open, and the world will watch in awe and fear. And those who have been waiting for him will rejoice.